Life as Ceremony shares personal stories, interviews with inspirational souls, and practical wisdom to help you reconnect with yourself and spirituality. Welcome back to another episode of Life as Ceremony. Today we have Amelia Barnes joining us. She's an entrepreneur, yoga teacher, writer, and mother. Thank you for joining us today, Amelia.
Hey Sam, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, are you ready for your rapid fire and this or that questions?
Definitely go for it.
Cozy night in or spontaneous adventure?
Cozy night in.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs. And just before we started, actually, Amelia shared with me her dog Sky is turning 2 this summer.
Yeah.
Yoga or lifting weights?
Lifting weights.
And we're laughing for those of you who don't know, like I think I met you at a time where yoga was a really big part of your life.
Yeah.
And yeah, not to say yoga's not. I'm sure we'll get into this in
Mhm.
the interview about yeah, just that evolution, which is
Yeah, for sure.
essential oils or candles.
Essential oils.
Mm. Always having to sing instead of talk, or always having to dance instead of walk.
Dance instead of walk. I
Yes.
cannot sing.
Everyone has been answering dance to this question.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
new
a
one I've
good
added.
one.
Yeah, my friend the other day was like, dance instead of walk because it's such a great form of exercise. Everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. What is your favorite type of fabric for clothing?
I would say our newest linen fabric would be my favorite. It's really lovely.
And how come?
It's got just like the perfect weight and it's actually soft, which a lot of linens aren't at first. And it just, I don't know, it has like a really nice feel to it, which is hard to come by when it comes to 100% linen.
Mhm. Mhm. When I saw you sharing about it, just, well, it's so beautiful. And also just like the quality and the way you talk about it, I'm like,
Aw,
I need a pair of pants and shorts, probably, probably both.
totally.
Do you have a favorite quote or words to live by?
Oh, I would say just be yourself, just be your true authentic self. I think that's like what it all comes down to.
Love it. And any books you're currently reading or a favorite book you want to share with listeners?
Um, actually, I started a book last night. I read a lot of random books because we have like tons of free little libraries in my neighborhood. So oftentimes I'll be like, "What is this?" But this one is really intriguing. I didn't want to put it down. It's a true story about the last hermit. So it's a guy in Maine who lived in the forest all alone and didn't speak to anyone for 27 years. And I was like, "Wow, this is fascinating."
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, and it's
Also,
pretty recent. Like he it was between 1987 and like in the like 2014 or like really like recent. So it's kind of cool.
very cool. Thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, so over the last 10, 12 years or so, your personal and your professional life has evolved a lot. And I would just love to hear in your words what your journey has been like, from teaching yoga to giving birth to your 3 children to writing a book to creating a Canadian-made sustainable clothing company. And Sky is on the video right now. So
I'm sitting on her favorite spot to hang out because it has the best lighting. So she's like, mom.
well, she can be here for the interview. We
All
love
right.
it.
Yeah, so things have changed and evolved a lot. I guess we first connected, it must be over a decade ago, right? So, oh wow, yeah, would have been in my mid 20s and I was teaching a lot of yoga. Like that was kind of my number one focus then. And I was at actually a point in my life where I really was struggling and trying to figure out like where was I going next. I loved teaching yoga, but I knew there was something else I was needed to do, and I was still in school. I worked on my master's degree, And I had kind of this idea that like I would finish that and then I would like get into some profession that I loved. And but I was starting to shift my mind a lot. I think a lot of that probably had to do with doing a lot of yoga and connecting with like what I really wanted in life. And I realized that I did not want a typical kind of 9 to 5 or even an academic job. I knew that wasn't right for me. And so I was like, well, what's next? And I ended up dropping out like of school, which is just wild for me. Like I just still thinking back, I mean, that was one of the hardest points in my life because you put so much into something. It's been like a full 6 years of paying tuition and it's a lot of money and commitment, and then just to be like, nope, I'm not doing that anymore was huge, and it felt like a huge loss. And honestly, there was a lot of grief associated with that. It's funny looking back now because of course I'm very happy I made that decision, but it was one of the hardest. And I decided to in that time was really struggling with this. I decided to start making clothing as like a creative outlet. And I remember walking around in Fabricland one day and just like touching the fabric and like feeling so inspired and creative. And I'm like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Like this is so like I had just felt that spark, and there was something about it that was like, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing next. So yeah, it was really interesting. The start of Prana Vida was inspired by I had been in Costa Rica for a while. I had been doing some training and teaching out there, and there was some little outfits that I picked up that I thought were pretty cute, but you couldn't find anything like that here. So I started kind of creating designs inspired by that, and that's what started Prana Vida. And I started having students in yoga classes and friends and whatnot that would be like, hey, like, where'd you get that? And well, I could make you one. And then yeah, it took off from there. I would say around the advent of social media was where I started to put myself out online more and get customers from like outside that immediate circle. And in yeah, like things started to grow enough. So I guess around 2016, 2017, I went all in with it, and I stopped teaching as much, and I've been focusing really on the business and my family ever since. So I have kids, so that's been taking up a lot of my focus in my life as well. So yeah.
Yeah. When you speak of the early days of Prana Vida, I feel like that must have been around the time we connected or first
Mhm.
met. And
Yeah, I think so.
I'm curious if you had a favorite item or a popular item, like when you first started, like what was it that where people saw you and were like, where did you get that? I need that.
Yeah, I think like what are definitely in the beginning, we were known for these like kind of loose, flowy harem style pants with a slit down the side. And that was like it was so great for teaching hot yoga because I don't know, it was so nice and cool, but you didn't have to wear like short shorts. It was just like a cool, I don't know, something different. And I really like it. And it just looks so neat because when you're doing these yoga poses, they would flow with you, and then you would also have like this peak of your leg would be sticking out here, and you're like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like, yeah, it gave a really cool look. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. And hearing you talk about the pants, I feel like we need a throwback, and I feel like inspired to wear them again. I'm like, I'm gonna
I
go back to my
know.
yoga days.
It's funny. It's been so many years since we made those, and the main reason we stopped making them was because, um, like at the time we were making them, I cut every single pair of pants by hand, and because you have the unfinished slit, like where the slit is, like that's just a raw fabric edge. The cut had to be perfect, so I would make sure it was always perfect. But then, like once I got into like producing like with a manufacturer, that's like a lot harder to make sure because you're doing them in bulk, and like they're not, every raw edge isn't going to be perfect, right? That's something that was really only worked when you're doing small batch hand cut, like
Hmm.
yeah. So and also because it had to be a raw edge, it didn't work with natural fibers. We had to use synthetics,
Mm.
otherwise it would fray and just come unraveled. So that was another reason we shifted away because I started to use more natural fabrics. Yeah.
And what is Prana Vida known for, or what do you make now that you feel most passionate
Mhm. So our most popular would be our fleece line leggings. They have, gosh, like well over 1,000, maybe 1,400 reviews, and they're always a big. Like they sell out really fast when we restock them every fall. So that's, I would say that's what we're most known for. But also our embrace bras are also like a pretty close second. Like those ones are, we're actually restocking them for summer, and we have them available to pre-order right now. And those, like, I think it was more than 7 or 8 years since we first launched those, and we relaunch them usually a couple times a year because they're still like a bestseller. So yeah, those two would be our biggest. But for right now, for what's new, I say I'm most excited about our linen collection. We have like I was mentioning, that new linen fabric. So we're doing pants, wide-legged pants and shorts this summer, and hopefully we'll add something else to that collection further on in. So yeah.
Amazing. Guess what I'm wearing right now for our interview?
Mm, I don't know. What are you wearing?
I
Oh, is it really the burgundy bra?
It's the
Oh,
burgundy embrace bra. I just have it on with like for people
yeah.
who are listening to this, a wool cardigan, so you can just see the top of it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the story of this, Amelia?
I do. Was it at one of the? Was it at a festival
It was at
or
your home in your
in
kitchen.
my? Okay, never mind. I'm not remembering. It was at my home. Okay, and then I gave you the. Why did I give you it again? Can you remind me? I'm like so.
Because I'll just share with listeners, like this is
Yeah.
literally like who Amelia is. I was over at your house in your kitchen. I
Okay.
think it was to do with something to do with like a giveaway, or there was like we were chatting about
Okay.
product, and you
Okay.
were wearing like this burgundy embrace bra, and
Right.
I just like loved it. And you were literally wearing it. Like it wasn't on your table. You were
Yeah.
wearing it. And you
Yeah.
were like, well, you can just have it. And you went like into your room and
Yeah.
changed and like literally gave me the shirt off your
Oh,
back.
that is so funny. And you now you're remembering this because I actually kind of wondered whatever happened because I must have forgotten about it. And then I was looking back at videos from back then, and I'm wearing this burgundy bra. I'm like, oh, like we've never made that bra in burgundy. I must have been a sample. But actually, for this fall, we've never actually made them in burgundy. That was like a one-off sample, and I think we're gonna make them in burgundy this fall because
Yay.
it's been like definitely like requested color.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah.
funny. I love it. You're like, I wonder where that like one
Where did
sample
that
of
go? Now
you.
it totally makes sense.
Well, it's still worn regularly and loved dearly. Like,
Oh, that's amazing because that's a lot of years old then.
yes, like just under about 10 years old. I think it was around
Yeah.
20, I want to say like 2017,
Yeah, probably
2016.
when they like first launched and I was like sampling a bunch of them. Yeah, that makes sense. That's so
And I still
funny.
have my matching tights to wear with it. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Because I guess
That's
you did make
awesome.
burgundy in the tights, but
We
not
we
the
have made
embrace bra.
burgundy and tights a few times. Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, a couple times, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
awesome.
I love that story and I love every time someone asks me about the bra, I like tell them the story about you. Also, just in like when it comes to like supporting a Canadian made business, I also feel like you being behind the business and so much of your authenticity and what you share with people. Like I think people, I know I feel this way, like so excited to like support Prana Vida Style and to support Amelia Barnes. And it's so
Aw.
interesting how like clothing carries stories too, because it's not
Mhm.
just like, oh, this is cute. It's where like this is where I got it from. Like, I don't know how I want to like connect with other Prana Vita folks because I feel so excited to like share the stories.
Yeah.
And I even whenever I wear anything of yours, like I find myself not just talking about it, but I talk about you and like who you are. So
Oh, that's so sweet. And I often hear that from customers. I'll hear stories
yeah.
like one recently where two customers were in Mexico and they noticed they were each wearing a swimsuit from like our summer collection last year and they connected over that. Like, how cool is that?
So
Yeah.
cool. I love it. With professional life, what feels most important to you nowadays? Like even moving forward, like obviously we have the linen collection right now. What do you want to share and create more of with the world, even beyond Prana Vida? If there's anything that you are thinking or brewing, I don't know.
Yeah, like I really would love to, like right now, Prana Vida is still quite small. Like we've kind of, feel like we plateaued around 2018 and there hasn't been much growth since then. And I'm okay with that because we are slow fashion and the goal isn't really growth because we want to be sustainable, right?
Mhm.
So I like that we're at least still here. That's, I'm proud of that. But at the same time, like it would be so cool to have like a bigger collection where people can kind of get like they can buy everything from like dresses to more like casual wear to like their whole wardrobe in Prana Vida, which I know is a lot, but yeah, it would be nice. Like right now, I just feel like one of our downsides is that like we have great stuff, but it's just like it's not a huge selection and it's limited. And because we make things in batches by pre-sale, a lot of the times like we don't have a huge amount of inventory at once. And again, that's all part of being soul fashion. But I would like to get to a point where we can make it more accessible than it is right now. Like, yeah, because I do get it is frustrating when you like want something and then you go to the website and you're like, oh, it's out of stock. It's not like I get requests every single day. When are your leggings restocking? Well, they're not going to restock probably till September, and that's a long
Yeah.
wait. I know. It's worth it
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
it's a struggle between like how much we like stay with our values and align with slow fashion and taking things small, making things like small and at home here, but then also growing and being able to offer more things and to like be available to more customers.
Totally. I mean, one of my questions for you today is how do you find that balance between,
Mhm.
honoring your values and what seems like your personal values as well, which then extend into your business around sustainability, while also like growing to some extent or like just
Mhm.
even being sustainable for your own job
Mhm.
and life.
Yeah, it's always like a constant struggle. Like it is I'd say it's like a roller coaster ride running a small business. Like there's definitely highs where you're like, wow, things are great, like sales are good, everything's just running so smoothly. And then there's lows where you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't made a sale in 5 days. Oh my gosh, am I gonna go to business? Oh my gosh, what can I do? Like, and you start to panic and you're like it starts to like snowball to like it's the end, but then of course like things pick up again. It's a constant up and down, and I at this point 12 years in I've become a little bit better at like relaxing in the slow in the down parts and kind of just staying focused on okay, what do I need to do today to set myself up for more growth, more sales, and connecting with more customers essentially.
Mhm, mhm. What would you like people to know about whether it's running a slow fashion company, or just even Prana Vida in style? What would you like people to know that you think maybe
Mhm.
they don't know?
Yeah, I think, gosh, that's a great question. I think I like to be people to know just how different slow fashion is from fast fashion. It's like it's not even the same thing at all because like I can't even comprehend when I look at prices when it comes to fast fashion and you can buy the finished product, let's say a dress or shirt or something, for half the price at full price from the store at half the price that it cost me to make it,
Mhm,
right? Like it costs me more just to buy the fabric than
mhm.
it does for you to buy it. It doesn't make any sense how they make things so cheap, and it's obvious that somebody is paying the cost
Yeah.
and the environment is paying the cost. And but it's also I so hard in this economy because everyone's struggling, trying to make ends meet. And yeah, it is a really hard thing to convey without being really um out of touch. And because it like when you look at the price difference, you're like, okay, I could buy 5 t-shirts from fast fashion or I could buy one t-shirt from this company. And for most people, like it's an easy, that they're going to choose fast fashion because it's easier, it's cheaper, it's faster. It's like all the things are stacked against us as a small business. So anytime a customer chooses to shop Prana Vida, I am eternally grateful because I know there are many other options that you could have chosen. And I think that also though is a testament to like people see the quality though and they experience the quality and then they're like, no, I'm gonna buy your leggings because I know that they are like better in terms like they're worth it, right? They're worth that extra. Yeah. That's what I hope anyways. But yeah, it does make it hard, but it also makes it I'm always up for a challenge. So I like the fact that it's a challenge, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it keeps me on my toes and always like learning and pushing and improving.
Totally. And I'm so grateful that you do because I think the values even like waiting for September, like I think that's great. I think that if we actually slow down and ask ourselves like do I need that thing that I'm trying to buy immediately? The
Hmm.
answer is probably no. And then when that pre-order rolls out, right? Or even the idea of do I need 5 or do I just need 1?
Right. Yeah.
And just, I think when we slow down and really check in, even with our own truth and our own values, and, I think a lot of people, when we just slow down and sit with that, just the pause in general, we're not as reactive, even when it comes to our purchasing habits. We're like, oh, I really care about this, or I really value this, or yeah, it's more expensive, but, or yes, I have to wait, but I actually really value that. And maybe that is, quote unquote, the right choice for me, but just, out of habit or out of capitalism and what's ingrained to us, we just kind of have these
Mhm.
more automatic subconscious habits, even when it comes to our purchasing, that we might not even realize. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And you get into that habit so easy to just click buy and because it's cheap, you're like, well, oh, so what if it doesn't really fit or if I don't love it, who cares? It was only $10. Or you know what I mean? You start to get into that mindset and just like I'll just like whatever, donate it or give it to someone. And you start to, yeah, I guess clothing has started to become like a lot more disposable than it has ever been. And
Hmm.
it's fascinating too how like people like even counting for inflation like people paid a lot of money for clothing in the past and yeah clothing was relatively a lot more expensive and people would keep it for much longer and they would buy much less of it and therefore it'd be so much higher quality and like it would be so nice if we could like get back to some of that and like I like to think of like when shopping think like hey, is this going to be like a really like tomorrow's vintage essentially is this something that like I would want to like pass down to my daughter is this something that I would be thrilled to find in a thrift store is this something that is going to hold up like that's kind of the mindset I'm going towards now more and more and also just like but a big part of that too I think is diverging from trends and finding your own personal style. I think that's a huge thing where we have these micro trends and these every season it's like something's in and something's out and you have to kind of keep up with what's in and out and it becomes like well okay the sweater was trendy last year but now it's not so I guess I'm going to get rid of it and I think a lot of that comes down to people feeling like insecure and not sure what to wear so they're just going to wear what like their favorite influencer wears and it becomes this like vicious cycle
Hmm.
so one thing that have been doing recently is like I made a capsule wardrobe challenge where it's like a 6-day challenge and it walked people through like how to find your personal style and how to curate your capsule and how to shop sustainably and how to fill the gaps how to put outfits together and like declutter your closet all that kind of stuff is in the challenge and I thought that was something I personally did for myself but then I kind of created that for my people my community as well and I think that is definitely a step that sometimes gets missed because yeah if you don't really know what works for you then yeah you're going to end up spending wasting money and wasting and just buying stuff that you don't end up loving and that always sucks I know.
Yeah, I think that's, the great thing about, what's working for you in your personal life. You seem to share with your community to like help
Mhm.
them, building that capsule, finding their personal style. And I think that even that contributes to like this greater picture, that's not actually
Mhm.
just about buying the more sustainable item, but again, when people support with even challenges or ideas or behind what they're sharing, that educates, your community, and then they think differently already, Some of the slow fashion brands that I follow, I like love, their honesty about, the most sustainable thing you could do is like potentially not purchase this item and how they talk about how yeah, they talk about how ask yourself if you really need this, and it's so funny and interesting because it's also what they're selling, and I just think that there's like this raw authenticity to that people are starting to like wake up to and really appreciate, and it even naturally makes them want to support those businesses even more.
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle as a slow fashion, small business, sustainable entrepreneur because there's this like, capitalism, sell, sell, sell. How do you like target people's pain points? How do you like make your product more appealing? How do you get people to buy? Because that's what you need to survive as a business. But they're also like, don't buy if you don't want it. Like make sure that you're not buying just because I'm telling you to buy, please. Like there's like on the one side, you're like, please buy because it's awesome, but also please don't because you know, it's
Please buy because it's awesome, but please don't because of the planet. So
I
I don't
know.
know what else to tell you, but just figure
Yeah, I
it out.
know.
Yeah.
So it's like, but then again, like I think people obviously need to be clothed. So and obviously like yes, thrifting is amazing, but it's harder and harder and harder like
Mhm.
to find quality stuff at the thrift store. So I'm hoping by creating a sustainable brand and focusing on longevity that I can, add to the ecosystem of better clothing, better basics, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What inspired your passion for sustainability?
Hmm. Gosh, that's a really good question too. Um, I would say it was definitely early on in the Prana Vida journey. I honestly didn't really know a lot about fabric, the fashion industry. I didn't know very much at all about anything when I very first started. And so I'd be like, "Oh, this fabric looks great." And 90% of the fabrics that were like in the fabric store were just like polyester blends of synthetics and poly. It was just what was available. But then as I started growing a bit and I was able to do like more like bulk purchasing of fabrics, and I came across suppliers that were like really invested in providing sustainable options, that I started to be like, oh wow, like there's this whole world of slow fashion. And I watched a documentary about fast fashion that was definitely very eye opening, and that might have been around 2017. What was it called? True Cost? I think that was one of the first ones. True Cost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember.
And so
Yes.
that was definitely a spark too to like push me further in that direction of like but it is such a struggle at the same time because you want to be okay. I want to choose the most sustainable fabric out there that is made in the best way, but then is it available? Can I get it in Canada? And is it going to perform in the way that I want it to? Is it going to fit the way I want it to do? Is it going to last? I've been in this position before where I have two fabrics to choose from. One is the more sustainable option, but it in testing it's like falling apart. Like it is not lasting as long. And so
Mhm.
it's like, okay, do I want a piece of clothing that's gonna start falling apart after a couple of years, or go for like the lesser sustainable fabric that's gonna last for very much longer. So you're always kind of weighing like the pros and cons for everything. And I guess at the end of the day, there is no perfect option. You just do the best with what you've got.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about sustainability in other areas of life? Like, how does that
Mhm.
value show up beyond your business?
Yeah. So I would say, like, for me myself, it shows up a lot in the way that I eat. I've been vegan for a long time and like plant based. So I stopped eating meat when I was a teenager. So it's been a long time now. And so that would be like definitely in my personal life where, I mean, you can have the most impact. So that's where I go there. And and I would say just in terms of trying to be fairly minimal in like what I bring into my home, and like even just like things like my furniture, my house is mostly marketplace finds, which I love Facebook Marketplace. I'm a little bit like that. I don't know, or buying from like sustainable brands as well, and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm also just appreciating this reminder of, sustainability is, buying from sustainable or ethical companies and brands, but it's also thrifting. It's also Facebook Marketplace. It's also finding that older item. And I know from, watching on Instagram some of your finds, and I see you like sanding down a dresser and like repainting it and like getting, new handles for it. And it's actually just a really brilliant way to kind of not only like live your value of sustainability, but also
Mhm.
tap into what I think is one of your values of creativity too.
Yeah, that's so cool. So cool that you put it that way. Yeah, I definitely am really passionate about I love old stuff, and so like when I was renovating my bathroom, for example, I found this like antique dresser and turned it into a vanity and things like that. I have like a dining table that's old mid-century modern piece that I refinished and things like that. I love bringing like new life because there's so much, and it's usually like better quality anyways. Like it might require a little bit of work, but you're getting solid wood, you're getting really good construction,
Mhm.
and most of the time you're getting a really good price too. So yeah.
Beyond sustainability, whether it's your personal life or your professional life, you can answer both or one or the other, doesn't matter. I'm curious, what are some of your other values?
Hmm. I would say transparency. Like I try to be as honest as possible with like what's going on behind the scenes because yeah, I think that that helps you connect more with folks. And I like when something's like oftentimes when things are going really bad, I won't like share right away, but like in hindsight I'll be like, okay, so this happened and this is how we got through it and what I learned in the process and that and whatnot. And I also like to be open to always like learning. So I try not to be too set in like, okay, this is the way things need to be done. Like I try to stay open to always shifting my ideas depending on like new information that comes my way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And with you mentioned earlier at the beginning, pardon me, with Prana Vida and teaching yoga that you were like meant when you were teaching yoga, you were like, I'm meant to do something else. I'm meant to do something different. And then you kind
Hmm.
of found, the clothing company. It's now been alive for 12
Hmm.
years.
Hmm.
Can I ask, like, what is your purpose
Hmm.
or passions in life? Yeah.
Hmm. Gosh, that's a big question. I would say just trying to my purpose I would say is just trying to be like a better version of myself, like always pushing beyond what I think I can do and my like my idea of who I am because I think we often get very like rigid and like, well, I'm good at this, I'm not good at that. I'm never going to try that because I really sucked when I tried that once. Those kinds of things, and it doesn't have to be anything big. Like I think this year, something personally for me was like I've always been really terrible at sports, and it's something that's just always been in my like I'm terrified of balls. Like I couldn't like catch or throw to save my life growing up, all those things, right? No hand-eye coordination, just and so I started playing a sport this year, pickleball of all things, and I absolutely love it. And it's like opened my eyes to like, okay, maybe like all those stories I was telling me about myself, like I can't play sports, I'm terrible at sports, I'm just gonna let everyone down. Maybe they like were just not true. So yeah, it's really been fun. So yeah, just a
I love this.
random small example, but yeah.
Thank you for sharing that example with us. I feel like a lot of people are getting getting into pickleball and
It's funny,
may
we're millennials, right?
but this idea of becoming a better version of yourself or just, pushing these edges with curiosity of challenging the stories or narratives that we tell ourselves. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious with personal life, what feels most important to you nowadays?
Hmm. I'd say just my family and really cherishing this like time because my kids are getting bigger now. My girls are 9 and 5. And so I'm starting to see like they always say, oh, it goes so fast, it goes so fast. And at this stage, I'm like, oh my gosh, like my eldest is gonna be a teenager before I know it. Like And so just really be mindful of like creating memories and lots of family time. And and one of the things that I am also just so grateful about with having my own business is that it allows for that. And
Mhm.
because I work on my own schedule, and I can be here at home, and my husband also works at home, so like we have a real ideal setup where we're literally home 24/7. And our kid, we have so much time as a family, so much time with the kids, and I'm just really soaking that in, because I
Mhm.
know in 10 years like we're going to be past this phase. Our kids are going to be going out into the world. So I think right now I'm like, okay, this is the time for family, and I try to put family first above everything really right
Mhm.
now. Yeah.
Mhm. And where do you find that maybe it's a line or a boundary with what you share online versus what you don't,
Mhm.
especially when it comes
Mhm.
to family?
Well, it's a good question. Yeah, I definitely shared a lot more of family life in years past. And I think that shifted. And I think just as a society, we've kind of shifted a lot more away from exposing children online, which I think is great. So yeah, I mean, I do share snippets of things like my daughter's playing the piano, and what activities they're into, and all that. Like my youngest is loves rock climbing, and my eldest is piano, and she swims competitively. So yeah, it's fun to show what they're into
Mhm.
and that. But other than that, I don't really share a ton about my family in that way, like online,
Mhm.
which I think is a good balance. Like, it's people like to know who you are, and the fact that you have a family. But beyond that, I think like I like that they have their lives that are completely separate from my life and what I'm doing. Although they often say, "Mom, we want to take over your business one day." I'm like, all right. They just think I have the best job ever. I remember my youngest, she came home from preschool last year, and she had a Mother's Day card, and it was like they had to write, or that they had to tell their teacher to write like what their mom does, right? And according to my 4-year-old, my mom has her friends over and takes pictures of them in bras. That was what I do for my job.
My mom has her friends over and takes pictures of them in bras. Okay, can I ask, does the teacher, like, know what you do for
She
work, or
does.
was
She
she
does. She
like,
actually has some Prana Vida, so she totally got it. I thought it was just the funniest thing ever.
that is hilarious. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I love that. It's reminding me of like a meme I saw on Instagram where kids drew what their parents did for work. And there was one where this kid drew a drawing, and it was their mom with a shovel, and I think it had to do with like potentially like Home Depot or Canadian Tire. Anyways, long story short, it looked like their mom was a pole dancer, and the teacher was really concerned and had to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
funny.
kids can say the funniest things. And yeah, my youngest Ava, she is hilarious. Like I swear she probably said that just because she thought it was funny, but I don't know. But she's so funny, yeah. But yeah, no, it's nice like having, yeah, like I was saying, I think that with having a business that's like flexible, it has like definite advantage that I can work from anywhere. I can schedule more time according to my kids' schedules and all the rest. But there also is the double-edged sword of like I could work anytime, so I have to learn how to shut off, right? So
Yeah.
that can be a challenge sometimes when I'm in like I'm tend to be a very all or nothing person. So like when I'm
Mhm.
in like launch mode, I'm in this mode, I'm like I'm all in. It's like what, I have kids, what? But yeah, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And, prior to giving birth to your girls, you gave birth to a baby boy, Landon, in
yeah.
2014?
2014, yeah. So it'll be 11 years now. He was born July 8th, 2014. And so, for those of you who don't know, my son Landon, he passed away when he was 4 days old. Unfortunately, he had complications during the birth. And then when he was born, he had a lot of brain damage, unfortunately. So his organs started shutting down after about 4 days. And he'd never made it out of the hospital. We never even got to bring him home. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. What would you like to share, about Landon's life with people today?
Yeah. So think that one of the things that like Landon's life taught me was definitely the just appreciation for what you have. I know it sounds very oversaid, but being knowing that all that can be gone. Like there's never any guarantees. And I think when Landon was born, I was probably at a stage in my life where I was I was feeling like a lot of things were in my control and there were a lot of guarantees, and like I didn't really consider the possibility of losing a baby at full term. It wasn't like that's not something that would happen to me. It was kind of in my mindset, and I think it really taught me to be humble and to be more empathetic towards others' struggles and what other people are going through as well, for sure.
Mhm. Mm. And you wrote a beautiful book about Landon's life called
Yeah, that is legacy.
Landon's Legacy. I'm curious how writing the book contributed to your healing process
Mhm.
throughout that.
Yeah, the book was definitely a healing process for me, and that was why I wrote it. Like when I wrote it, I really didn't have anything in my mind other than I wanted this on paper, as almost like a documentation of the journey and the process of my healing. And so I drew on like my journal entries from the time of his birth and on beyond that. And it was kind of written like that, almost like a day-to-day journal and story around that. And gosh, it's funny because I wrote it, I put it on the world, and then I completely ignored it. Isn't
Mhm.
that strange? Like I completely dropped it. Like it was almost like I'm done and I'm putting that away. Like I didn't promote it. I didn't talk about it anymore. I didn't and I don't really to this day I'm not really sure why. I think it got to be just really hard to go. Like I actually haven't read the book since I wrote it. And I don't remember what I wrote in it. And I have the book, but it's
Mhm.
almost like a scary thing now where I'm like, oh my God, I read that. I have to go back there. But I think it's important too. Like at some point I probably will read it. And I love that I wrote it because I have that um document now, because I feel like if I hadn't, it'd be so easy to like forget or to kind of push it away to where like I would start forgetting and not be able to remember details and things about his life and about, yeah. Gosh, I'm all tearing up now.
Yeah, that's okay. Your tears
Yeah,
are
because I think when bad things happen, we like to kind of put them in a box and maybe like push them away, because and then life gets busy and you start to layer things on top that like eventually kind of drown out the grief.
Mhm.
But to have that there as like a reminder of like this is what we went through, this is how we evolved and grew, and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
I
really
just want to say your tears are always welcome here.
nice.
I also cry on most episodes of Life as Ceremony, so don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I can only imagine, even thinking or talking or sharing about Landon, like that love never goes away. So why would tears or emotion ever go away, right? When we talk about it or think about him and the impact that he had on your life, your family, but also so many, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think there's lots like good that came from his short life. Like he definitely impacted me and a lot of people from my writing and my sharing about the from the experience, and brought together a really great community. I hosted 3 different retreats for bereaved mothers, and those were really powerful. And yeah, it was really lovely as well. And when we kind of uh, in my subsequent pregnancies realized I have a condition called cholestasis or ICP. So that was kind of, we don't know 100% if that was what caused his death, but it could be definitely related. So I should definitely share awareness about that, because a lot of people don't know the symptoms. I didn't, which the number one is itching. So if you ever itchy during pregnancy, get that checked out ASAP. And a lot of, if no one listens to you, then just keep pushing, because yeah, that's what happened to me. And you just got to be really like adamant and
Mhm.
get tested and get induced early if you, or whatever your the protocol is at this time. Has probably changed by now, but
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
thank you for sharing all of that with us. I'm curious how you honor or keep Landon's presence in your life today.
Yeah, well, like we talk about Landon all the time, my husband and I, with our daughters. They know they have a brother and they often mention him, and that's kind of special.
Mhm.
And it's never in like a sad way. We're often like joke about it and stuff. It's kind of funny, and 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 like the girls are like dad will sometimes clean. He's like, I'm the only boy, like because we have a girl dog, two daughters, me, and he's like, and then the girls will be like, we have Landon. It's like,
Aw.
yeah.
So sweet.
It's cute. Yeah. So, and then yeah, we have like photos of him still that we have up and that and yeah.
Yeah. When you talked about writing the book and then kind of like putting it down, like not promoting it, not looking at it
Hmm.
at it since then, and it's so beautiful that you have, this document of what you went through, your healing process that you really can, look back at if or when you ever want or need to. But something
Hmm.
that kind of came to mind for me when you wrote it and then really put it down for a while was that it served its purpose for you in that moment, that for you writing that was really part of your healing process because there's so many different reasons why we do what we do, including writing a book. And
Hmm.
the idea of writing it and then putting it down or not promoting it, it wasn't it wasn't, definitely wasn't to sell something. This was the purpose of that book for you at that time in that moment.
Yeah. And I hope that it definitely found people. I still get people that will sometimes
For
say,
sure.
"Hey, I read your book," so somehow it's out there still, despite not really putting it out there. And I hope that it does find the people it's meant to find. And
I absolutely think it will. I know I've recommended
mhm.
it to a few people in my life,
Mhm.
yeah, who it really, really helped. I think some of them even might have sent you a message. So I'll
Yeah, I
also
probably, yeah, totally.
I definitely believe it'll absolutely reach who it's
Mhm.
meant to reach. And I think that,
Mhm.
yeah, people who know you, who know your story as well, that yeah, we're out here sharing your work with people. We're out here still like sharing Landon's legacy. And yeah, that in a way, like we're all a community in that way of we
Mhm.
all have a purpose or intention. And for you at that moment, maybe it was the writing of it. And maybe part of our purpose is, sharing and, being the connectors. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's beautifully said. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Um, I'm curious if you ever see yourself writing another book or offering another retreat, whether it's related to Landon and his life or it's something completely different.
Mhm. No, it's something I haven't given a lot of thought to. I would say probably not. Um, like as much as I liked hosting the retreats, I also realized that like I'm so introverted that like I get really tired. I mean, like at the end, I would sleep for like 14 hours and just like it was great, but it just zonks me right out. So I was like, you know what? Maybe those were great, but like maybe it's not my thing necessarily because I know some people just totally thrive there, and I wasn't one of those people. And in terms of writing a book, yeah, like I would say no because I do enjoy writing. So who knows? Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, so maybe another book, probably no retreats. What about teaching in person? Or I guess, yeah, and when was the
Yeah.
last time you taught in person?
Gosh, it's got to be at least like 5 or 6 years, I would say. Yeah, it's been a long time. And yeah, it's funny because I have been going to take some yoga classes recently, and that's been kind of nice to like reconnect with the community. I really miss it, and so I'm hoping it's tough to fit it all in though because it's like I want to lift weights, I want to play pickleball, I want to do yoga, I got to work at some point, and I can take care of my kids, you know.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
but I do. I'm trying to make a point of like going to maybe like one yoga class a week and just staying in touch because it's always so lovely to see all the people from that point of my life again. And that's why I say one of the hardest parts too of being a small business owner is you don't really have community anymore because
Mhm.
you are your little island. And so you really have to go out of your way to create that. And that's probably one thing I miss the most about teaching. So who knows? I wouldn't say I'm never going back to teaching. It's definitely in the cards, and I still get asked to come back, so at least they want me. I hope.
Yeah,
So who knows?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think there must be yoga videos that exist online for you somewhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably, maybe. I don't know actually. Yeah.
Because I think there was one point you were filming with Yoga Girl. I
Yeah,
remember.
I had videos for her platform, and I couldn't tell you if they're still up there. I would have to go
Yeah.
Google that.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
When you think back to who you were and where you were in life, 10, 12 years ago, did you ever imagine you would be where you are today?
Maybe, like, I don't know. Like, I am not the type of person who has like a very like set out plan for like this is where I'm gonna be here, this is what I'm gonna be doing here, this is what I'm gonna be doing here. But I'd say it's pretty much where I wanted to go, and like I wanted to, yeah, I'd say I've very much accomplished the things that I said to do, which is great. Like but primarily because my goals were very internal. Like I wanted to be living according to my what I felt like was my purpose. I didn't have these like big external goals, I guess. Yeah. Like I wasn't like I'm gonna hit this in revenue this year. I'm gonna hit this in right. It was more like am I living in alignment with my values, and am I trying to live every day to create like that life on my vision board, right?
Totally.
But there weren't really like I never really had any like concrete or like measurable
Yeah.
things, I guess, in terms of what I wanted to do with my life, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it totally makes sense. And even, I guess,
Yeah.
beyond the measurements, like when you
Hmm.
think back, did you imagine you'd be running a clothing company or living in
Hmm.
Winnipeg or,
Oh, those
things?
are great. Yeah. Yeah. Like I probably wouldn't peg myself as staying this long in Winnipeg.
Okay. Is the plan to stay? Now I have to ask.
Yeah, like I
Hmm.
actually really do love Winnipeg. And it's one of those things where like when you're growing up, you're like, hey, I'm gonna get out as soon as I can, get out as soon as I can. And then like you start establishing your life. And I definitely, yeah, it's definitely where we want to be. Like I think too, there's like we have a really great community here. And my dog put her toy under the sofa and now she's like I'm trying to get it out from under the sofa. So I'm not sure if you can hear the barking in the background.
Oh, I could now. And if you need to go
Okay.
grab her toy, you're welcome
Sure,
to.
I'm just gonna go grab it for her because she probably won't give up. Oh, it's like a tennis ball sky. Yeah. There it is. Okay, you need to. Oh my goodness. Okay, of course. And her tennis ball is under there. Okay, so like I was saying, Winnipeg. Yeah, so I definitely like I know originally I was gonna leave like right away and go to university in BC actually, and then I kind of backed out last minute and was like, no, I'm gonna stay. And yeah, like we moved into our current house almost 4 years ago now, and just like we just love it so much that it's like I don't think I don't think I could feel at home anywhere else. And you know that feeling of like when you find somewhere that just feels like home, and it's like I don't know, everywhere I go to travel and visit all these places, and I'm like I always get excited to come back home. Like it just feels like where we're meant to be, and our kids are really happy and have we have a great school just like a 2-minute walk away, and like we live on the river, and it's just like a great like really eccentric and eclectic community that we love. And yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. What is something that you've learned about yourself over the past decade?
Oh, I'm gonna say like that I'm usually stronger than I give myself credit for in a lot of scenarios. Like it definitely when I come up against like struggles and I'm like, oh, this is like I'm not gonna be able to get through this, that I can. And so that gives me a lot of, I feel like it gives me strength now because I know like my dad passed away a few years ago, and that was really hard. But honestly, like after having processed so much grief after Landon, I felt like I was like more resilient and like able to deal maybe a little bit better. Not that it gets easier, but you definitely um, learn how like you get better ways of coping and 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 connecting. Yeah, I think. Mhm. Yeah.
Anything that you've learned about yourself very recently that you want to share or name?
Hmm. Learned about myself very recently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to my mind. I would have to think on that one.
Okay, yeah, and totally. I mean, as I asked that question out loud, I'm like, what have I learned about myself recently? I was like, I don't know. I would pass on this question. If you want to email me your
I'm
answer,
gonna think
take
about that one. Yeah,
take
yeah.
your
Maybe I
time.
need to do some. I mean, like things have been maybe too easy lately. I haven't had
Hey, that's
enough.
not a bad thing. Enjoy
Oh,
that
knock
while
on
it's,
wood.
yeah, knock on wood. Enjoy that while it's present.
Yeah.
And then last couple of questions for you. I'm curious, what ways do you like to reconnect with yourself? Any like practices, rituals, ceremonies? It can be like really simple. It doesn't have to be grandiose or
Mm.
elaborate. How do you like to connect with yourself?
Yeah, one of my favorite ways right now would be just like in our house we have this sauna that's like it's like built into our bathroom. It's really interesting. I don't know if it was an old closet or something, but anyways, it's a lovely sauna. And so I just love going in there in the evenings or at night and just like unwinding and meditating and stretching. And that's probably one of my favorite things to do because it's so quiet and I feel like you're almost like isolated from the rest of the world, you know?
Nice. Right on. And my last question for you is how can listeners support you, find you, anything else you want to share with people?
Oh, well, you can find me at Prana Vida Style. It's on Instagram. And then pranavitastyle.com is our website. And yeah, I would like, we have an awesome summer collection and we're adding to it soon. I believe, like, hopefully. The plan is to be adding to it soon as long as everything aligns, which you can pre-order from. And then we also have stuff from our winter collection, which is still available to order. There's some stuff as well. So like really cozy fleece leggings, leggings are gone, but joggers and French terry joggers, and also sweatshirts, crew neck sweatshirts.
And stay tuned for the fall pre-order for the Burgundy Embrace bra.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, that's gonna be good. I'm excited for sure.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story, your wisdom, and yeah, I'm just so grateful for our time. Thanks so much, Amelia.
Oh, thank you so much, Sam. It was lovely chatting today.